In the Old Testament Bible, in Hebrew Scriptures, in addition to many great and uplifting stories, they have also created a hierarchy of purity. That hierarchy of purity was meant to allow good, pious Jews to remain pure, to remain good and pious Jews. Those rules were established and they governed almost every aspect of everyday life of a good, pious Jew. They were told whom they can talk to, whom they can shake hands with, and who should be avoided. Among many people who were to be avoided were foreigners, lepers, and even your wife every few days, every month. At the very bottom of this hierarchy of impure people, of people you should avoid, were the lepers. Lepers were literally exiled from society. Lepers had to leave their families, their friends, their villages, their cities, their synagogues behind. They could not be a part any longer of a family, of a village, of a faith community. If you were a leper, you were the lowest of the low. The second lowest group were Gentiles, people who were not circumcised. They were almost as bad as lepers, but not yet. And surprisingly, today's first and the gospel reading speak of lepers, and two of them are foreigners. It's like as if the Bible was trying really hard to find the lowest of the low. They had two strikes against them. Not only are they lepers, but they are also Gentiles. It's a double whammy. You cannot do good with that. You are a leper and you are Gentile. It's like in some circles today, it's a black lesbian, double whammy. You have two things going against you. But surprisingly, the people with two things going against them in these stories today, from the book of Kings and from the gospel, end up being positive characters. They are given to us as role models, which again turns this very important hierarchy of purity upside down. Today we live in times where it is so easy to create similar hierarchy of people that you or we or they should not associate with. We create so-called the others so that we can stay pure and better from those people. We create layers in our societies when the other is to be avoided, sometimes perhaps when the other becomes the enemy. Just a few days ago, Thursday early morning, one of St. Louis County police officers became the other. For many people, police officers are the lowest of the low. And so we treat them as impure, as people who should be avoided. For many others, it's the African Americans that need to be avoided. I talk to many people, good friends of mine from Chesterfield or St. Peter's, who say they don't come to downtown St. Louis anymore. You know why? We have these hierarchies of the others because, just like in the Old Testament, they make our lives easier. We know who is safe to talk to. We know who is safe to affiliate with. And we know who should be avoided. But this is very much not the message of the gospel. The lepers, the foreigner in today's story, is the only one who did the right thing. The other, who would be disenfranchised, who would be marginalized, the other does what we all should be doing. A few days ago, in the Catholic Church, we celebrated the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. And yesterday, we had over 40 or 50 dogs, several cats, a parrot, and many fleas gathering for the blessing of the animals. And when I think of St. Francis of Assisi, I think of someone who lived 800 years ago and yet still continues to influence our ways of thinking. Francis refused to accept the hierarchy of importance in his society. Francis was born in a very rich, very influential family. Francis today would be the 1%er. And yet, he chose to associate with the poor and the lowly and the lepers. Not only would he preach great sermons to those who came to his church, both poor and rich alike, but he would take his time to preach to the animals and wolves and other beasts. Well, I know I sometimes preach to my cat, and as I do put you to sleep, I put him to sleep equally. But the point that Francis was making was that those layers of importance, the hierarchy that the society and even the Bible is trying to impose on us, has no meaning in the life of a person of faith. That we are members of one God-created family. If you love your pet, how can you not love your sisters and brothers next to you? If you think of yourself that your parrot or your cat or your dog is a member of the same God-created family, how can you think of other people as something else? The people who are different, the people who, God forbid, vote another way from yours, the people who, God forbid, eat different things from yours, the people who perhaps look or smell different, they too are members of the same God-created family. As people of faith, as followers of Jesus, we need to reject all those layers of the others. We have no right to look at the next person, at the person next to us, as someone less than my sister, as someone less than my brother. We have to take upon ourselves this worldview of St. Francis. We are dogs, cats, police officers, black people, even Polish people, even Mexicans. We are members of the one God-created family. Amen.